This is the most accurate guide to the Citadelle Des Morts main quest. This quest can be broken down into 3 separate sections: unlocking and upgrading the swords, obtaining the incantations, and progressing the actual main quest steps. Most of these steps can be done at any point in time in any order. So while I am going to go through all of these step by step, the collectathon nature of this Easter egg will allow you to do multiple steps at the same time for multiple things. For this guide, I will show you how to unlock these swords, then unlock the incantations, and then go over the actual main quest steps. Be sure to use the chapters below of the video to jump to whatever point you want. So let's get started with the swords. For every single sword, you are going to need to progress to at least round 10. Towards the end of the round, you will see a zombie with a knight's helmet. This zombie is immune to headshot damage, so you're going to need to kill it with body shots. It will always drop a stamp which you will take to the knight's room here in the dining room, and you can use it on any one of the 4 knights to unlock their swords. You can tell which knight has which sword by the animal that's on its chest. You will get one of those special zombies with the knight's helmet per round until you unlock every single sword. And I mean just unlocking. You don't need to pick up the swords, you don't need to upgrade them, you just need to unlock them. It's important to know which knight has which sword because you're going to need that respective sword in order to upgrade it. They are not interchangeable. Moving on to upgrading the swords, we're going to start with the dragon sword. Take the base dragon sword from this knight and then head on up to the Juggernaut room and place it in this holder right here with the dragon in front of it. This will light 3 cauldrons on fire in the map. You are going to need to find those cauldrons and then interact with them, which will light you on fire, and then proceed back to this location where you put the dragon sword and then interact with it and transfer that fire. The first location is just outside the castle on the wall right here. The next location is just to the left of the spawn in the Deadshot area right here. And the third location is in the spawn itself in this back corner near the Rampage Inducer. Like I said, interact with these cauldrons and you'll be lit on fire and you will take damage and you need to make it all the way back to the dragon sword. However, if you're running low on health, you can simply kill zombies and it will replenish your health. Once you transfer all 3 cauldrons of fire to the fire sword, the dragon will breathe on it and you have upgraded the dragon sword. For the lightning sword, you need 3 different lightning rods. For the first one, as soon as you pick up the lightning sword, run your way over to the quick revive room, the dungeon room, and I have usually always gotten the zombie to spawn in right here. This special armored zombie will have a lightning rod in its chest. Lots of confusion about this step, but I have tested this out multiple times. This zombie is consistently spawning for me right here in the quick revive room. You do need to pick up the lightning sword in order to get this guy to spawn, and it does seem like he eventually makes his way to you if you don't go directly to the dungeon. So just be patient. The next lightning rod is sitting right next to Deadshot just right here, and the third lightning rod is just outside of Speed Cola on top of this antenna. You need to shock this electrical box, and you can do that with either Deadwire or a shock charge. Just be sure your shock charge actually hits the box, because if you miss it, it won't actually electrocute the box. With all 3 lightning rods, make your way up to the castle wall and interact with this little pot right here. This will begin a storm, in which case you need to hold out your lightning sword and you will be periodically electrocuted. Once you're electrocuted, once you see your sword electrocuted, be sure to go up to the pot and then melee it and transfer the electricity to one of those lightning rods. While you don't need to kill zombies, it's a smart idea to kill at least the purple-eyed zombies and the vermin that spawn in just for this step specifically, just for your safety. If you take too long to transfer the charge, you will take damage and be electrocuted. But don't stress out, this is very easy. Once you've transferred 3 electrical charges to the lightning rods, you should be good to go. Go ahead and interact with the pot, place your sword in, and it will upgrade it, and that is the lightning sword. For the light sword, as soon as you take the light sword, 4 parasites that are glowing are going to spawn in. Lead these parasites to this door just outside of Speed Cola, and then melee them. You will be able to kill one of these parasites with your sword, which will make your sword glow, and then you'll need to melee this door here, which should give you a symbol. Don't worry about these symbols yet. Melee another parasite, get your sword glowing, melee the door with the charge. You'll do this 4 times until all 4 symbols on the door are glowing. If for some reason you forgot a charge or you took too long so the charge dissipated if you put your sword away, or if one of the parasites died to something other than your sword, don't be afraid. Every single round you progress will spawn in more glowing parasites. Once all 4 symbols are lit up on the door, simply interact with it and you'll be teleported into this chamber. You're good to kill zombies in this chamber, but go ahead and place your sword in this pedestal. On the pedestal itself, you will see 4 glowing symbols, the 4 glowing symbols that you've seen throughout this entire process. Additionally, you'll see those 4 glowing symbols in wisp form around the room. You are simply going to shoot the symbol that is currently glowing on the pedestal. It's the same order every time, so the more you do this, the easier it gets. It starts with the target symbol, and then the asterisk symbol, and and then the dead fish symbol, and then the Pokeball symbol. At least that's what I call them. Give it a moment and you can retrieve your upgraded light sword. For the dark sword, simply pick up your dark sword, head on into this room right here, and there are 5 different antiquities that you can find. There are only 5 of them. They all have a wooden base. There is a jawbone, a scorpion fossil, a fish fossil, 2 raven beaks, and a horn. They can be found on most of these tables. There's one table right here, then this bookshelf here, a couple of them can be found on this bookshelf here. They are very obvious. Don't worry too much about memorizing all of the locations. Once you have the antiquity and your sword, make your way back to spawn. Underneath the bar area right here, you can see this panel on the wall. Go and place your antiquity here. Go and place your sword in there as well. And interacting with this will bring you to a menu where you can spin these symbols on the wall, and have no worries, zombies will not attack you during this. There is a specific combination of symbols here. There's a lot of background to this, but I'm just going to give you a cheat sheet right here. This is what everyone wants. You can find this in the description. Simply rotate these circles around to make sure these symbols are correct, and then you can exit out of this and it should be correct. If you made a mistake, don't worry, you can go back into this and try again. However, you do get a limited amount of time in this menu per round. Once you've successfully input the symbols, a portal will spawn and orbs will start spawning from the wall. These orbs will follow you, and it's your job to train them into the portals. I would highly suggest doing this at the end of a round when you only have 1 zombie left, but once you get 3 orbs in the portal will turn into a wisp and it will move into a different location, and you'll need to repeat this process 3 times. Lead the orbs into the portal moves, lead 3 more orbs into the portal. Keep in mind, if an orb touches you, it can damage you, and if enough orbs damage you, then this step will fail and you'll need to try again the next round. Once you've successfully led 3 orbs into 3 different portals, the portal will turn into a wisp and it will go all the way back down to the wall where your sword is. Interact with it. It will open up a cool void into the dark ether. It will upgrade your sword and you have the upgraded dark sword. Moving on to the incantations. Once again, I want to reiterate, you can do multiple steps at a time between these incantations and all of the different swords. Before we get started with some steps of these incantations, you are going to need to talk to Dr. Craft first. So if you haven't made your way to the dungeon or the quick revive room and to this wall right here, this door, you can talk to Dr. Craft right here. But anyway, let's start with the fire incantation. For the fire incantation, you need to light 3 bonfires just outside the castle. The first bonfire is above the elemental pop room, the second bonfire is above the big door in the front, and the third bonfire is above Speed Cola. You can light these with Molotovs, thermal grenades, and even the Dragon Sword upgraded charge. When you light a bonfire, it will spawn in a handful of zombies, and when you light all 3 bonfires, it will spawn in a Doppelgast. You will need to kill this Doppelgast because it will drop your artifact. Pick up this artifact and make your way right down here, and you will initiate a lockdown with this artifact. Beginning this lockdown will start spawning in zombies, and this is just a simple soul chest. After about 20 or 30 zombies, a chest should rise from the ground, which you can melee with your dragon sword in order to unlock the fire incantation. For the lightning incantation, head on over to the Deadshot area. Inside of this barn, shoot down this horseshoe, go ahead and pick it up and bring it to the cannon fast travel and launch yourself. While in the air, you should be electrocuted by lightning, and either on the left or right side immediately out of the spawn, you should see a little storm cloud appear. This storm will spawn in a small handful of zombies, but it will also have your upgraded horseshoe. Take this horseshoe to this area in spawn and begin a lockdown. Once again, collect 20 to 30 souls. You don't need to use your lightning sword, you don't need to use anything. Simply kill zombies, 20 to 30 souls, and it will spawn in this chest. Melee this chest with a lightning sword to unlock the lightning incantation. For the light incantation, head your way to the dining hall and you are going to shoot this crystal right here. This will spawn in a beam of light that you need to align with other crystals. This step is very intuitive. Simply shoot the crystals until they line up with the next crystal in line, which is very obvious. They're bright glowing red crystals. You do have to be semi-close to these crystals in order to align them, and the way I think about moving these crystals is that every time you shoot a crystal, you are pushing the crystal. You're pushing the beam of light away from you. Aligning the lights will eventually take you into this room where it will eventually lead to this statue. Interact with the statue in order to pick up this artifact. Once again, take this artifact to just outside this area right here and begin a lockdown. Kill 20 to 30 zombies. The lockdown should complete. A chest should rise up, and with the light sword, you can melee it and get your light incantation. For the dark incantation, you're going to need to use the fast travel from the Pack-a-Punch to spawn room. At the very end of the tunnel, right before you get to the sewer, you're going to see a raven sitting on a rock. Simply shoot the raven and it should fly out of the sewer. Keep track of it because as soon as it's flying, you're going to want to shoot the raven again. If you miss the raven, if you've already shot it, you don't know where it's at, it is actually flying in a big circle around this entire spawn area. It can be near spawn, it could be near the castle gate, or on either ends of that first room. It will be making noise, simply shoot down the bird if you see it. Keep an eye of where that talon is going to drop, and then you can take it to the undercroft area right here. Once again, initiate the lockdown, kill 20 to 30 zombies, and then a chest should rise up, and with your dark sword you can melee it open and you have your dark incantation. It's important to note that while you need these swords in order to unlock the chest for the incantation, you can do the steps of these incantations far before you even unlock the swords. Moving on to the actual main quest steps. The very first step to start the main quest is you're going to need to talk to Dr. Craft in the quick revive room or the dungeon by interacting with this door right here. The next step, you're going to need to head on to the undercroft right here, and with melee macchiato melee this wall right here. This will reveal a wall of symbols. We need to input a 6-symbol combination to progress this step. We can find the correct order of these symbols back in spawn in the bar, because the bar is going to have 6 of these bottles with Roman numerals on them, which we can interact with to reveal the symbols. Simply write down the symbols Roman numeral 1 through 6, and that is your correct order. Head back to the wall into the undercroft, and once you shoot your first symbol, the symbols on the wall will actually randomize. Wait until the symbols stop randomizing and then shoot your second symbol. This periodic randomization will be faster and faster with each symbol you input. So if you're on solo, I highly recommend pausing the game as soon as these symbols sort of rest after being randomized. That way you can find the symbol you're going to shoot next and then proceed to shoot it as quick as you can. If you put in the wrong symbol, have no worries. Simply complete a 6-symbol combination and then the wall will reset itself. The symbols will not change, the order will not change, and you do not need to proceed to the next round. Simply try again. If you've put in the correct 6 symbols, a red wisp will spawn and it will break the wall next to this wall, revealing a book. We need to find 4 pieces of paper to put into this book. Luckily, all of them can be found in the stamina room, which actually consists of the room itself and the small hallways around it. These locations are randomized every match, and there are quite a bit of different locations. Fortunately, if you have talked to Dr. Craft, the pieces of paper should be glowing. If you haven't talked to Dr. Craft yet, the red eyes on the paper will not be glowing. These have always stood out very prominently to me in all of the games I've played. I know there's a ton of different locations, but they are pretty obvious. I wouldn't worry too much about memorizing each location. Just remember to check the surrounding walls inside and outside of this little hallway too. And you can always check and see how many pages you have by checking your inventory. The Roman numeral in your inventory is how many pages you've picked up. Once you have found all 4 pages, bring them to the book and place them in the book. These pages will have glowing red eyes that correspond to various red eye traps around the map. For this step, we need to get 10 to 15 kills with those specific traps in a specific order. The specific order of the traps is going to be in the book from top left to bottom left, then top right, bottom right. You can write down these symbols, you can memorize them, there's only 4 of them, so it's really not too difficult either way. It is important to note that these traps are very specific. For example, there is an eye trap with 4 different points around it that does not have any circles, and then there's a different trap with 4 points around it that does have a circle. So just be diligent that you're actually using the correct trap at the correct time. If you use the incorrect trap, have no worries, you don't fail or anything, you just don't progress the step. However, if you have found your correct trap, go ahead and activate it, and you will need to get 10 to 15 kills with that trap. You'll know when this is successful when that trap ends prematurely. If you want to double check your progress and make sure you're doing the correct trap, you can head back to the undercroft and look at the book, and if you've done it correctly, the eye should stop glowing if you've successfully completed it. There are 6 traps in total, 3 in the castle and 3 outside, and they're really obvious to find. There's one in the pack-a-punch room, a stamina up room, and the quick revive room. There's one just outside the castle, there's one near Deadshot, and there's one near the well on the other side of the map. I would not do this step at the end of the round because these traps don't last all that long. So just be sure you have enough zombies to kill quickly enough in order to complete the step. Once you've done all 4 traps, all 4 eyes in the book should now be gray and not glowing anymore. And completing this step will reveal symbols on this wall just outside the room we were just in between the stamina up room. These symbols correlate to each of the swords and incantations. Take note of the Roman numeral next to these icons because this actually tells us the order that we need to complete the next step in. For this next step, there is a specific order that we need to go up to the knight statues, use our incantations on them, and then weapon inspect our swords in front of them. The order in which we need to do that is found on the wall that we just revealed. So knowing the order that you're in, making sure you have the correct incantation and the correct sword out, you will use your incantation directly on the knight statue of the corresponding incantation and sword. It should start glowing, which then you can weapon inspect your sword, and then the knight statue will move to salute you, and it should be glowing yellow at this point, signaling that you have successfully completed that knight statue. If you have the wrong sword, if you have the wrong incantation, or if you did the wrong order, or if you did the wrong knight statue, have no worries. You don't need to flip the round, you just need to do it in the correct order, with the correct sword, with the correct incantation. Now, what do I mean by the right sword? Well, if we need to do the dragon knight statue first, we need the dragon sword and the fire incantation. For the lightning knight statue, we need the lightning sword and the lightning incantation. For the lion knight statue, we need the light sword and the light incantation. And for the raven knight statue, we need the dark sword and the dark incantation. Important to note, you do not need to fully finish your weapon inspect animation to complete the step. It's actually really forgiving. You can basically just start your animation and then immediately stop it and it will complete the step, which is especially helpful if you're doing this mid-round or if you got some zombies on you and you don't want to just sit there like an idiot and take a bunch of damage. If you forget the order, simply go back to the wall, double check your order, and then continue on. If you've completed this step, all 4 knight statues should be glowing yellowish orange, whatever you want to call that color. And then a beam of light should come from all 4 of the knight statues and it should lower the mystic orb. As of making this video, there is a glitch. Sometimes I've heard that the mystic orb will actually not lower, but luckily you can just jump off the balcony and collect it from up top. But anyway, go ahead and pick up the mystic orb and get ready for the final step. We need to complete 4 different lockdowns with this mystic orb. The first lockdown is in this very room, and it's going to be found on the second story right here. Go ahead and place the orb on this little pedestal protruding from the wall right here, and be sure to initiate the trial. 1 interaction for placing the orb, another interaction for beginning the trial. The trial in this room corresponds to the light sword. You will notice huge green orbs around the room, and your job is to simply run through them. When you run through these orbs or send these orbs, a smaller wisp will emerge from the orb and it will make its way to the mystic orb at the top of the room. You need to run through these orbs and collect enough of the wisps in a short amount of time because this is timed in order to complete the step. You don't need to kill the zombies. You don't need to kill zombies around the orbs. You don't need to stand in the... You just need to protrude those wisps and collect them in the mystic orb. Now, there are a lot of zombies that spawn in, so you might want to kill some zombies just for your own survivability. Once you've ran through those green orbs fast enough, once you've collected enough of those smaller wisps, the orb will complete and you can pick it up and head your way to the next location. These can be done in any order that you want as well. I like going to the Undercroft with the dark sword because it's the closest one. I'm going to place the orb right here on the wall and initiate that trial. For this trial and all of the other trials, we need to kill zombies. This one in particular, we need to kill zombies through the Shadow Rift effect or by teleporting zombies. The only kills that will count are kills with the ultimate ability of the dark sword, that huge awesome portal that you do, or by using the Shadow Rift ammo mod, or the way I like to do it is picking up the dark incantation that is sitting right there. Once you get enough kills with your Shadow Rift or your dark incantation or your ultimate ability on the dark sword, it should complete. Pick up the orb and head on over to the next location. I like to do this location right here just outside of the castle. This is the fire lockdown. For kills to count here, enemies need to burn. So you can actually use Molotovs to kill zombies that will count. Napalm burst zombies that die from the actual napalm burst will count. Using your upgraded ability on your sword will count. And if your fire sword is charged with that ability, that will also make it so that regular melees count. Once you've killed about 20 to 30 zombies with fire, the trial should be complete. Go ahead and pick up the orb and head on over to spawn for the final mystic orb final trial. You're going to place the mystic orb right here and initiate the trial. And this trial is going to require electric kills. So deadwire kills, lightning incantations, or the ultimate ability of your lightning sword. Once you've got 20 to 30 zombies, the trial should be completed and you should have all 4 trials completed. Pick up the mystic orb and bring it back to the wall that revealed the symbols earlier and place it there. This will reveal a special hidden area where zombies will not attack you for the time being and interact with this thing right here. This will initiate a bunch of dialogue for you and you could pick up the Guardian's key right here. And heads up, it's boss fight time. And whenever you're ready to go into the boss fight, take the Guardian's key to this statue in the spawn right here and activate this Guardian. Be sure you're geared up with the perks, equipment, and weapons you want. You can do any side quests in order to get upgraded as well. Personally, I would recommend going into this boss fight with the light sword. When the light sword is fully charged and you get melee kills with it, it will actually replenish your armor, which is huge for this boss fight. I like to make sure I have enough points so that way I can refill my ammo within the boss fight a couple times. And if you're in need of a max ammo right before you go in, there is a hidden max ammo that you can shoot right here for a free max ammo right before you go in the boss fight. The most important augments that I can recommend to you is just going to be making sure you have the PhD slider and tribologist augment on PhD. That way you can slide faster and you can actually kill zombies that you slide into. In terms of weapons, I like the fact that the GPMG is on the wall here, and when you pack a punch it with a steady aim laser, you get an incredibly tight hipfire spread, and I recently used the compact SMG, which has a very similar pack-a-punch ability. I'm aware that at the time of making this video, there is some glitches with Idle Eyes and the drill melee weapon, and maybe even Ether Shroud. I will not be showing you how to do that because those might be patched out. So this is going to be a vanilla boss fight guide. Once you've spawned into the boss fight, the Guardian will have a few different attacks. It can jump and slam down on you. This is indicated by red symbols on the ground that you want to get away from. It can actually stomp on you if you get too close. This can be easily dodged with PhD slider. And finally, he can hurl fireballs at you from a distance. This is by far the worst attack because those fireballs will actually leave an area of effect closing off a part of the arena. But of course, you can PhD slide out of that way as well. In terms of how to damage this boss, you will notice that some sections of his body are covered in armor. If you're getting that armor hit marker and those blue numbers, keep shooting. I believe it's both of his shoulders, both of his elbows, and both of his ankles. Once you shoot the armor enough, it will break, revealing his weak spots. Focus your fire on these weak spots because that's basically the only way you have of substantially damaging this boss. Yeah, he's a bit of a bullet sponge. Once you've done enough damage, he will stand in the center and become invulnerable. You will get a mini wave of just regular zombies, and at this point in time, lava will start falling from the ceiling, closing off this arena, making it a little smaller and a lot more claustrophobic. This is when I like to pull out my light sword and kill these zombies, because these zombies are going to drop armor plates, but the sword is going to be replenishing my armor anyway, but those armor plates are going to be on the ground for me to pick up later. Resource management, it's pretty fun. After a while, the boss should become active again, except in this second stage of the boss fight, he's going to be a little bit more aggressive, and instead of shooting just one fireball at you, he's going to throw 3 fireballs at you. To avoid this, I personally prefer actually going closer to the boss, so that way I get his stomping attack instead. I would much rather deal and slide out of the way of the stomping attack rather than have half of the arena shut down because of his fireball attack, but that's personal preference. If you feel like you're being overwhelmed with the zombies, don't be afraid to use a Casimir or a monkey bomb, or simply just kill the zombies. After you've killed a certain amount of zombies, and there are going to be doppelgasts in here as well, but once you've killed enough of them, they should stop spawning and you can focus entirely on the boss itself. In terms of dealing damage to the boss, it's the same thing. Look for those weak spots on his shoulders, elbows, legs. Once the weak spot is revealed, just go to town. If you're incredibly efficient with these weak spots, you might notice that his elbows, his shoulders, and his legs are all no longer weak spots. Once you've dealt enough damage to a weak spot, it will stop being a weak spot and you'll need to move on to another. However, there is a possibility that you are done with all of the weak spots on his shoulders, his legs, and his elbows. Luckily, he has one last weak spot, and that's going to be his chest. Shoot off his chest plate, and I believe there's like a back plate that you can shoot off as well, and it will reveal his final weak spot in his chest. Once again, if you deal enough damage, he should go back to the middle, and that is the end of round 2. You get another mini round of zombies. Again, I like to use my sword here, replenish my armor, make sure armor drops are being dropped, but in this third and final stage, you are going to get an amalgamation. Now, personally, I prefer using Casimirs or monkey bombs. However, as soon as you see the amalgamation, luckily, you have all of these incantations spread out around the arena. Simply go up to the electric one or the fire one, and then use the incantation on the amalgam, and it should one-shot him. And then you can quickly pick back up your Casimirs or your monkey bombs or whatever. Once again, lava will fall, the arena will get even smaller, and the boss will eventually come back to life. And this is where you just need to be skillful. As I mentioned, I prefer being close to him so he can't throw the fireballs at me to close down the arena even more. You're gonna need to be patient because he'll stomp at you, he'll turn around, you'll get some shots in, you'll need to dodge again, he'll stomp at you, you'll need to dodge again, you'll have some time to put shots on him, and you just need to take him down little by little. Shields Up is a fantastic gobblegum to run, and insta-kill gobblegums will actually make you deal more damage to those weak spots. Take your time, be patient, and stay alive. If you have no more zombies and there's no more armor plates and you have no more armor, you can take out your fully charged lion sword or light sword and you can activate the ultimate ability, and that ultimate ability will completely refill your armor. But unfortunately, the swords actually don't do that much towards the boss. Like I said, be patient, keep landing shots, keep dodging, and eventually you should be able to take down the Guardian. Once he's defeated, go ahead and pick up the artifact, and you should get the ending cutscene. Congratulations, you have completed Citadelle Des Morts. And if you want to see how it's done in real time live, be sure to check out this video and stay beautiful.